feature. For you that are wondering, the most simple question about Atlas Fallen multiplayer feature, which revolves around the game having drop in and drop out, the answer is yes. People will be able to drop in and drop out of lobby sessions at their free will. If you play Gotham Knights, you should be familiar with this process because that game had drop in drop out feature as well. If a friend of yours have the game already and they know you're online, they can join in the middle of your session while you're sand surfing or fighting a group of sand wraiths. Extra tip for you, the monsters in co-op are more aggressive than playing solo, so as soon as that co-op person join in on you, the monster's difficulty level will adjust. When you are both in the same lobby, there is no tether connection, therefore both players can explore two different areas of the world. And they will be tracked by an icon that is shown above their head, so no matter where they're going on the map, you'll be able to follow them. And take in consideration that even though you might be finding monsters, the person that's in your lobby could be out talking to an NPC trying to get a quest going on. So you might want to communicate if one of you get in trouble so you can help each other out. The loot that is gained in the game is shared between both of you, so there's no reason to run ahead and try to find loot without your other partner or trying to fight over the loot that you get because it is shared throughout the game. And Essence Stone is a big part of the game, so if you get an Essence Stone, your partner get an Essence Stone as well. There has been no word on if there be public lobbies for people can team up with random gamers around the world, but it is definitely an option that could be in the game of Atlas Fallen. Now let's say there is a skill gap between you and the friend that joined your lobby, and you play on two different difficulty levels. Can you still play? Normally, one of you will have to adjust your difficulty level in order to play with the other person. But in Atlas Fallen, both characters can play at their own difficulty level. So your partner can play on hard and you can play on medium, or one person can play on medium and the other person play on easy. Now I'm not sure how that will affect the combat in this game, and when it comes to stats, how will that be divvied up? Now this is leading us up to how progression will be mapped out between the two players. The game have it mapped out into two classes, which is world progression and character progression. Now world progression pertains to the quests you complete in the world when you're interacting with people and your destruction and interaction with the environment. An example the gamers gave was breaking stones around the map gave you world progression. The character progression has to do with the character stats gained within itself from playing with that character. If you are hosting game, then you will get the world and all the character progression that's retained by your character, which leaves you with the guests and how their progression is totaled up after a game session. The devs dropped a grid showing how each scenario for different progression is gained or not gained. For example, if both players are on the same level of progression, the guests will only get rewarded with the character progression. I think the reason for this because it probably would be too difficult to transfer world progression to the guest world because that world is not active and no connection to the host world is being tracked. Let's say the guest is far more advanced than the host. Then the same rule applies. The guest only get character progression. Lastly, if the guest is nowhere near progression of the host, then the guest will get a warning about what's going on and will proceed to not get any progression out of the co-op session. The big idea to take away from this is that you cannot progress your world unless you are the host. It also pays to link up with people on your level of progression, and hopefully Deck 13 have a way of matchmaking people that are on the same level of progression if public lobbies is in the game. With progression of this video, don't forget to hit one of those engagement buttons. Atlas Fallen is a multiplayer game that allows for two players to play through the story together, but there have been no confirmation of crossplay being in the game. We could hear something soon about crossplay from a tweet or one of the dev videos they've been putting out lately. If I had to guess, we can sway towards crossplay being in the game with the option to turn it off. The game is not being made for last gen consoles. In order to attract a bigger game base, crossplay is going to be a good way to attract that. Atlas Fallen is definitely a game to check out, but if you are buying the game purely for the multiplayer experience, then I want to make sure that you are clear on a few things that you should take into consideration. Atlas Fallen is a game that is not being talked about a lot, or like it should, and that could be an issue if it does not reach more gamers. As a result, trying to matchmake if you have no friends to play with could take some time in the lobbies. Then on top of that, you have to hope that you are the host to retain all your progression, or you could find yourself not getting the most out of your time trying to progress your world. Now, if you want to know more about the game Atlas Fallen, due to release August 10th, click on the video showing your screen. Welcome to Mr. Unleashed World.